Come in, sit down.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rhiannon.
Lisa.
Lisa, okay. Would you like a glass of water?
I'd love one, thank you.
Sure. It's been a bit hot today, hasn't it?
It has been a bit hot.
A little bit uncomfortable.
Thank you. Yeah, it's better than the cold though, isn't it?
Oh, see, I don't agree.
Oh, you
I
don't?
prefer cold.
Okay.
Much better and nice cold in front of the heater. I think it's nice.
Oh, okay.
So we have got an hour here together today.
Okay.
Is there anything that you'd like to talk to me about?
Yes, look, the main reason I'm here today is just to discuss some problems I'm having with my 15-year-old daughter.
Okay. Yep.
Our past, our history together up until this point has been relatively good. We've always had a good relationship and shared good communication.
Yeah.
But it's been a tough year for her at school this year, and I think it was probably from about the middle of this year she started talking to me about the idea of not wanting to go to school anymore.
Okay.
And perhaps to pursue a job aspect instead.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that?
Look, I'm frightened of that. I'm disappointed that she feels that way. She has had some problems at school this year. You know, perhaps with some friends. I think that that perhaps there's been a little bit of bullying and she's feeling a little bit intimidated. But we've just gone into term 4 now, and I'm finding that I haven't really been able to persuade her to consider staying at school, and it's gotten to a point that it's quite stressful in my household.
All right. Yeah. So it's that must be really hard. And so how have you shared your thoughts on this with her? How does she react when you tell her how you feel?
Look, at the moment I just feel that she just gets angry at me for not agreeing with what she wants to do.
Okay.
And she sees me as, I think she sees me as just deliberately disagreeing with her and wanting the opposite as to what she wants.
And that must be really hard.
It is really hard. I'm finding it hard for her to understand why I've got the viewpoint that I have.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that this started back at the end of term 2, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
So it's been just over 3 months. Is there a reason that you've decided to come in at this point in time?
Well, yes, I've never had counselling before, and I really have just felt like I've hit a brick wall, and I'm a little bit at a dead end, and was really just finding the whole situation really depressing, even just for myself, with the worry that's going along with this. So I thought it would be a good idea to try and seek some help.
Mm-hmm. Now that's fair enough. So have you got any idea of what you want this counselling to do for you? What are you hoping to achieve?
Look, I'm just hoping to get some ideas on how I can get my relationship back on track with my daughter, so that we're communicating again, and so that we're getting along. Yeah. At the moment I'm feeling that we're just not seeing eye to eye. We're not getting along, so I'm really hoping to get some thoughts and ideas on how I can get that back in track.
Yeah.
Although I have been worried that if my daughter finds out I'm doing counselling, she might not respond very well to that.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I mean that's understandable. And unless you decide to tell her, there is really no way that she's going to find out that you are seeking counselling and that you are talking to me about the situation that you have at home. Confidentiality in counselling is quite strict. There's only a few instances where I would have to share the information, and it would be if there was an instance where I believed that a client was going to harm themselves or there was a threat of harming somebody else, then I would have to alert the proper authorities.
Sure.
The only other instance in which I would have to release any information at all would be if your client file was subpoenaed by court, which I don't think that's going to happen in this case here.
Yeah.
So unless you give me verbal and written permission to share this information with anyone, it won't leave this room.
Oh, that's good to know.
Good. Does that sort of set your mind?
Look,
a
it
bit more at
does.
ease? Yeah.
It may be something that I do decide to share with her, or maybe even promote the idea, but just at this point I think I need it for myself, even just to be able to get some strategies in place. And you know, I'm hoping that this might be something that I can get some ideas happening really quickly.
Yeah. Well, here at Clockwork, we have 10 sessions per client allocated. So I'm not saying that it will take all 10 sessions to come up with a solution. It might not. We might come up with something, you know, relatively quickly, and your daughter, it might work out, or it could take a little bit longer. It's really hard to put a time limit on these sort of things.
Yeah.
But we will start working straight away on coming up with some ideas and some strategies on just anything, on just even just ways to actually be able to sit down and talk to your daughter.
Yeah. Well, even that would be a step forward.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Oh, that sounds good. And so you mentioned before, so you've never had counselling before, have you?
No, I haven't had counselling before.
All right. Well, look, what I'll do is I'll just quickly explain what we do here.
Okay.
Myself and most of the other counsellors here at Clockwork, we tend to favour the solution-focused therapy, which just recently is quite a modern approach, and it's become quite popular and it tends to work. It's where we really encourage the idea of focusing on your future, what you want your future to be, what you want it to look like. We together will work out goals that you want to achieve, whether it be in a year's time, 10 years' time. You know, you might say that you want just simply to still have the great relationship that you had with your daughter a year ago when you're in 20 years' time. Something as broad as that could be a goal.
Yes.
And so it will just be a matter of you and I getting all the issues out and then devising ways that we can approach them and hopefully fix them and move forward from there.
Yeah.
What we also like to do is come up with ways and tools that you can actually have with you all the time, so that if there are any times in the future when counselling is finished and there's some sort of conflict,
Yes.
that you'll actually be able to use those in the future.
In a different scenario if I need to.
Exactly, yeah. So how does that sound? Is that, you sort of feel like you've got a rough idea of what we're doing here?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And that's
Good.
exactly what I was after.
Oh, that's good. Is there anything else that, have you got any other questions about this process, or?
Well, look, I have. At the moment, as I've said, the relationship with my daughter's not great. She's spending a lot of time in her room, and look, to be absolutely honest with you, I think there could be a drug problem involved here.
Okay.
Which I'm very stressed about, and I just don't know which way to go forward with that either.
Yeah, no, that's very hard. That must be really difficult at the moment. I'm not surprised that you're stressed. How does that? How are you coping day to day with having those thoughts?
Well, she's denying it, but you know, I'm finding some evidence in her room, and just her personality is just not where it used to be. She's just a lot more aggressive and defensive, and yeah, I'm just. It's very hard to handle. I'm just not sure which way to go with it. Right.
And so how is this stress and the things that are happening between you and your daughter, stepping away from your daughter for a minute, how is it affecting you?
Well, it's affecting my work. It's affecting my sleep.
Right.
You know, it's affecting all the. I can't focus at work on my job. You know, I'm just constantly worried about what she's doing and who she's hanging out with, and you know what the heck's going on.
Oh, that must be really difficult. No, yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's
Particularly
not.
when it's something that's so close to being in your control, but just out of it, it's really difficult. With this particular issue, so you're somewhat quite sure that she is using some sort of substance.
I am. Look, she's, as I said, she's denying it, but
Mhm.
I have found some evidence in her room and just her behaviour in general. She just doesn't seem the same.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, when it comes to this particular issue, we've actually got a drug and alcohol support group and a group of counsellors that we work closely with. What I'll do is actually write out a referral for you to speak to them.
okay.
I still think that there's a lot of work that can be done between you and I as far as repairing the relationship with your daughter. But just singling out the drug issue, I think that
Yeah.
having somebody that is experienced in that area and actually, devotes all their time would be beneficial. They'll meet with you and have something similar now where they'll just sort of get an idea of what's going on and what you believe is happening, and what they will probably do is suggest that you bring her in to see them. Look, it's hard to know how she will feel about that, but hopefully, while we're still working, we'll be able to come up with a strategy so that you'll actually be able to talk to your daughter and be able to explain, in a nice way, that this is a good idea, that you think this is the right way to go, and hopefully she'll give it a shot. How does that sound?
Look, I think I need to do something because clearly it's just such a big thing to deal with. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd have to deal with some of the problems that I'm dealing with right now, and I never thought that drug use could be one of them. But I'm fearing that it is, and I'm scared for her. I'm a bit scared for me too.
Yeah.
So it's really good to be able to speak to the people that can at least, give some advice and help with this.
And they'll have information for you too. It won't just be that they'll work with her. They'll also, as well as I will, they'll help you figure out some strategies on how to deal with it as well.
Yeah.
They will explain to you how these things affect her. They'll explain sort of different avenues as far as trying to get her off them and rehab and all sorts of things. But that's something that they'll actually go into with you.
Yes.
But what we'll focus on here is at least reopening the lines of communication between you and your daughter.
Yes.
And just start tackling these problems. I don't think that things are going to change overnight.
No.
But I think that at least we're taking a few steps.
Yes. Well, as I said, it's been quite a few months that this has been really come to a head. Been building for some time, so I'm not expecting that it will just miraculously disappear.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that if we just aim to come up with some goals, have a really good think about what you want. You want to be able to go to work and you want to be able to concentrate. When you do go to bed at night, you actually want to be able to go to sleep, not have a million things running through your head.
Well, that's right.
And, terrible scenarios playing on what you think or what your daughter may or may not be doing. And let's just aim to try and get your daughter back to where you guys were.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Just a good positive relationship is the main thing on my list at the moment.
Good. Well, what I'll get you to do, between now and the next time I see you, I just want you to spend a bit of time when you've got a chance to have a think about what you want your life to be. So reflect on what's going on now, and don't focus too much on the present though. Really start focusing on the future. Think about the positive things that you want to attain.
Right.
Once you've sort of figured out exactly what it is that you want to work towards, the goals that you want to achieve, you can start thinking about some different ways that perhaps we can get there. And from now on, in your next session, we'll sit down, we'll have a talk about, right, these are the things that we want to achieve, and list them out.
Yes.
And then we'll go through and think, right, okay, let's suss out some strategies to achieve this, and this. And then it will just be us working together, revisiting this and seeing if we're making any progress.
Yeah.
That alongside with getting a referral onto the drug and alcohol specialist, I think, is definitely the way for us to go
Yes.
right now. So how does that sound?
That sounds good.
Oh, good.
That sounds really good. It just feels good even just to have a plan and a strategy in place moving forward. You know, it's difficult when you don't know how to handle something yourself.
It is very.
And, you know, this is my only child, so I don't have any experience with another child, and
Yep.
you know, you don't know whether you're doing the right thing or not.
No, it's you're sort of going in blind, aren't you?
You just are, and at the moment I just feel like I'm living with a lot of even maybe guilt that I've brought this on somehow, or I don't know, maybe my expectations up there are too high. I don't think they are, but perhaps she does.
Yeah.
I just want her to be happy,
Yeah.
and to be successful in her life.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. One thing that I've sort of had a thought is we may be able to branch out to your daughter.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. You know, that is there a possibility that, you know, or should I be thinking about perhaps bringing her in?
Yeah, definitely. Look, well, I mean, once we sort of have a little bit more time on sussing out ways that we can perhaps get her to at least listen to your point of view, if you feel that it's the right time, you can perhaps mention to her that you have been seeing someone just for yourself. You don't have to necessarily say that it's because of those issues in particular, but just say, look, I've had some troubles and I'm seeing someone to help me get through my issues, and perhaps just see what she thinks about that. There are a couple of different options. She can come in to one of your sessions and we can sit here all together.
Right.
Or she may or may not like the idea of actually coming in and just seeing me alone and having one-on-one time.
Right.
It's something to think about. I think a group session would be good, and hopefully after a few sessions of us working together, you girls might be just a little bit, maybe not as tense,
Yeah.
and she may be more open to that idea as well.
Relaxed.
Yeah, and adolescents, especially around 15 years of age, they'll find it quite threatening, the idea of coming in and seeing someone. So she might actually also prefer to come in with you as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think if we work on just thinking about where we want to be in the future, if we start thinking about different ways that we can help your daughter through her issues, whether it be coming in to see us all together, coming in to see me separately, and finally getting her to see the drug and alcohol specialist.
Okay.
I'll get on to writing out that referral this afternoon for you.
Thank you.
I will contact them and let them know that you've seen me.
Right.
And they'll give you a call.
Yeah.
They'll set up an appointment. They'll probably send out a bit of information, so just keep an eye out in the mail.
For that.
Just be on the ball with that, just in case.
Yeah.
And that, I think, should be all right.
Okay. So look, I like the idea of even going home with a plan of my own to write down some goals and aims of my own.
Yep.
I think it'll be good for me. So
Definitely.
I look forward to doing that, and and our next appointment.
That sounds good. I think I'm due to see you in about 3 weeks.
Okay.
If things get a little bit too full on between now and then, or you feel that you need to see me again, that you're struggling, Just call reception,
Oh, that'd
and
be good.
yeah, they should be able to get you
Yeah.
an appointment in to see me if you need
Yeah,
to come in
if we
earlier.
need to. That sounds great. Thank
Great.
you.
Oh, thanks for your time, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.